Hey everybody, I'm Greg.
And I'm Katie. Welcome to the Meeple Society. Today we are on episode 52, part 1 of the ends.
We're halfway through.
Literally, officially halfway through.
Of this 10-year mission.
Before we get started, please like the video. If you like this type of content, consider subscribing to the channel. And of course, hit that bell icon if you want notification of future content.
Or you can follow us in the link below and see us on all of our social media.
One thing we want to note before we do get started is that we are going to try to change things up starting now. We'll see how this goes. Tell us if you like the shorter format. We're going to kind of reduce the number of games we cover on each video. We started doing about 15 games and somehow it has grown to 20, 22 per video, and we get more and more long-winded. Okay, I get more and more long-winded, but at least I admit it. So we're going to try and shorten the number of videos, get them out more frequently, see if that helps at all. Tell us if you like that or if you prefer the longer format. So, yeah, the only other thing we haven't covered recently is why we're doing this. And we're at the start of the end, officially halfway through, seems like a good time to do it. So we have two collections of games. We have our primary collection that sits in the game room, and then we have a secondary collection that sits in one of our spare bedrooms, essentially. That collection started out as a fundraising collection for the choir departments at our local high school. We had an idea when we were first new in the hobby to do a family game night, but we didn't own any mass market games. We didn't own any Sorries or Monopolies or Troubles or any of those. I still don't think we own any Troubles because I don't like their boxes. But slowly that collection, by me going to Goodwill, way more than I probably should have, amassed to, hey, don't look at me that way, you went with me a lot of times.
It was her addiction.
Whatever. That collection amassed over 1,100 games, to the point where the guest room where it was staying, we put shelves on the wall and it was filled to the brim. So we decided that we're never taking 1,100 games anywhere. So we are going to, we're trying to reduce that number, and we've been very successful at getting that number down. Yeah, I don't know what the exact count is now, but we have been very successful at getting that count down. I know we've gotten rid of several hundred games already. But before we get rid of them, we want to play through them because there have been a lot of surprises in the mix. We have found a lot of games that we would have never picked up that we've actually very much enjoyed. So that's why we're doing it. We still hope to take the secondary collection to places. We're hopefully going to get ramped up here soon on getting that done, but I was really hoping to get it down a little further before we tried. We'll see. But in the meantime, we continue trying to get it down some. If you want more information on the whole thing, I did do a full game room tour about, oh gosh, it's probably been almost a year ago now. You can always find that on the channel, and I explain a lot more about it. All right, let's get started.
Okay, we're going to start with the ends by going backwards to the Fs.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And that would be because we purchased Floor Plan, the Winchester Mystery House, on our last road trip, which is a video that's going to be coming out too.
Yep, here soon, hopefully, next few days. All right, so Floor Plan, the Winchester Mystery House. We have the original floor plan, and we did.
Yes, we did.
We did talk about it back in the Fs. And we picked up the original floor plan because, I mean, that's what you do for a living. You build houses. So this one intrigued us because of the Winchester Mystery House. We've been there. We got to go there several years ago on one of our trips to California. Very interesting story behind it. There's lots of stuff out there about it, so I'm not going to go into it too far, but was her name Mary? Mary Winchester, I think it was. Sarah Winchester was, well, she was a little eccentric. The Winchester Mystery House has rooms that, or stairways that go to nowhere, doorways that go to nowhere, rooms that make zero sense on how they're built. And that is essentially what the plans are asking you to do here. The neat thing with this one, and I don't know if I call it neat or frustrating, we were a little flustered with this last night.
Yes.
But it's 2 floors. You have to build out 2 floors of her house. So this was different. It was definitely not what I expected when I opened the box.
No.
Or you opened the box.
Yeah, when I opened it up, I was like, what is this?
Yes. So, all right, so floor plan plays. You typically have this sheet. This one, again, has the double sheets. But you have a set of dice, and the dice all mean, the dice tell you what you're able to build and how large. Both regular floor plan and this one come with a series of build, design, and layout cards, and you have one of each in every game. And the build card, for instance, will tell you that Sarah wants an observation tower where a connected function room, bedroom, and parlor are all on the same floor, and you have to have them connected by doors. If you do that, you get 8 points. She also would like a greenhouse where at least one room in the house has one wall containing at least 3 windows overlooking a tree. Again, you get 6 points for this. However, because of the nature of this game, this particular card gives you an additional 3 points if you manage to successfully do this on the second floor. Of course, as with any build, you cannot build on the second floor until you've built on the first floor because, you know, you've got to have some support. She may have been eccentric, but she could not defy the laws of gravity. But then there are design, and this wants certain things in the rooms, or like, what in the world? Secret attic. An upper floor parlor with 2 doors to the outside, connected to a washroom. Well, I said she was eccentric.
Well, it was like last night's was two washrooms connected to an upstairs parlor by the stairs.
Yes. That was kind of strange. And then there's the layout, and you get, this is all end game scoring. So you roll the dice, and the dice tell you what you're going to do. So say I rolled a 1 and a 3. I look at my sheet, and it tells me that with a 1 and a 3, I have 2 options. I can build, well, 3 options really. I can build a hallway that is 1 square by 3 squares, perfect size for a hallway. Or I can build a bedroom that is 1 square by 3 squares. All right, that might be a little bit small. But again, she was eccentric, so who cares? Or I can build a tree and a doorway. I can take the 2 dice and split them up and build a tree and a door and put them somewhere on my property. So you have 3 options with every roll. Now this particular one brings in the ghost. And if you roll a ghost, then now you have 2 options. So say I rolled this 2 and this ghost, I could claim 2 ghost icons down here, and the icons, once you fill them in, you get a special one-time ability. Like this, like you get to change a die, or you can build 2 doorways somewhere, or a couple windows, whatever. Or I can just forget the ghost and claim the 2 and do, in this case, a staircase. I can put a staircase anywhere in my building, in my house. So it's an interesting game. This one I felt was a lot more complex than the regular floor plan.
Yeah. I think the main part of the complexity of the game, well, the weirdness of the game, or whatever you want to call it, is that the grid on top is black. It needed to be a different color.
Yeah.
Because when you had it down, you could barely see what you had underneath.
Because the markers were black, it made it very difficult.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why this grid needed to be a different color. The bottom grid's blue.
Yeah. Even a gray, even a lighter gray.
The bottom grid's blue, the top grid's black, so it covers up where you can't really, it's hard to tell what rooms you have on the first floor.
Yeah.
It was all the time doing this, trying to figure out, I was like, am I built there? Nope, I can't build there.
And these were bleeding off because they're dry erase, not wet erase.
Yeah, every time you moved it, if you didn't pick it up to move it, it would rub on the back and then erase half your board.
So we can probably solve that problem with pulling out some other wet erase markers or some dry erase markers. We've got plenty of other colors. But straight out of the box, it was a little frustrating on first play. We are going to hold on to it. It does sit in our collection. We're going to hold on to it, and we'll give it another shot. But, yeah. But anyway, that is Floor Plan, the Winchester Mystery House. Sarah is always building. And yeah, apparently she did. Up until the day she died, she was continuing to build on this house. I would have not liked to have been a contractor in her home.
That house gave me just...
Yeah, he was a little bewildered when he was walking through this house.
The only thing in my head was like, why? What were they thinking? Why?
Because
stairs that went to nowhere.
Because that's what she wanted.
Walked right up to the ceiling. That's it.
And you think your boss is a little demanding. Work for Sarah.
Okay, now with the ends. We're going to start off with a game we played on your party day. Name 5.
Yes. Okay, the premise of this seemed interesting.
Yes, it did.
It really did. We got to play this with a group of friends. Now, to be fair, it does say 2+ players or 2 teams. Okay, we ended up with like 11 of us, so we split into 3 teams to make it a little easier, or so we thought, a little easier. We really should have just stuck with 2 teams.
Yep.
But they give you 4 pawns, but I guess that's where the plus players come in. I don't know. So it has your typical party game board. Lots of colors, special locations, that type of thing. You're rolling to move around, to move up on the board, and then where you land depicts what you do. With this particular one, the standard movement, you draw a card off the top of the deck, and one person on your team has to read the card, and then allowed to everybody, and then somebody else on the team flips the timer over. And now your team has 30 seconds essentially to name 5 of whatever color you landed on. So in this case, name 5 words for peace, or name 5 online book retailers, or 5 U.S. vice presidents, not presidents, but vice presidents, parts of a bicycle, or movie concession snacks. It sounds easy, but when that 30-second sand timer is running, suddenly your head empties. Just like in any party game where you've got a timer involved.
Yes.
So there are other spots on here that, and that piece of it wasn't bad.
No.
That piece, if we could just done that, we'd have been fine. But then you get to some of these others like the flip-flop, where one team has to give just one answer.
And then it continues
And
around.
it continues around. And then the next team gives an answer. And the next team gives an answer. And you get some of these that are very ambiguous. You get, like, what was the one we got? Gifts for Men. It went on for 5 solid minutes. And we finally said, okay, enough's enough. Let's just pull a different card. Because it just never ended. In the long run, everybody who played was like, we're glad we helped you get this done, but please don't make us play it again. So this one's going to leave the collection. It is one of those that falls into the, it didn't hit with us, so we're going to go back to the score. The score's below a 5, so it's going to leave the collection. It just, I wanted it to be better than it was.
It had good potential. Now, maybe if you played it at 2 or 3 players,
Maybe.
or 2 teams, it may have been better. But
in the meantime,
no.
so yeah, that is that. Name 5.
Next, we have Nab-It.
This reminded me of Upwards. A game
Yeah.
we got a long time ago, and we actually still have it. So this is basically a Scrabble type game, sort of. The idea of the game is that you are making words out of your letters. So everybody has 5 letters in front of them. The letters are all double-sided, so that's kind of nice. You got an R on one side and an O on the other, or an H and an A. So all the letters are double-sided, which was nice, but at the same time was a little confusing because you weren't always looking at that second side.
No.
So, oh, of course I would pull out the QU. So you're looking at all of your letters, trying to make words. Now, the first player only has to make a word of 2 letters or more. They do have to be legal words. Road, there you go. See, you are so much better at these games than I am. So he would make the word.
A journalist.
That was a long time ago. So he would make the word. In this case, he made the word road. Now, on my turn, I would have 2 choices. I could either build off of one of these with my letters, or I could nab one of his words. And by nabbing one of his words, I simply place, and I can place any number of letters. I can place 1 letter down that would nab the word he's got. Say these are the 5 letters I've got. I have a couple of choices here I could do. I could nab his word and build the word T. If I were to do this, I would now claim his word. I have just nabbed his word away from him because at the end of the game, you don't score anything during the game. At the end of the game, you score the highest letter. You score each word where you hold the highest letter in the word. Maximum of 5 letters per word, so you can't go any higher than 5. So I would get credit for toad, even though he laid down road. He would not get any credit for it anymore because I nabbed it. And then I would also get credit for T. Now he could turn around and add something else to T to take that word from me or change the T back over. The only rules are, of course, you can't use proper nouns. You can't use, there's a list of things you can't do. None of them were very different over most word games. You can't go above 5. And what was the other word I was thinking of you can't do? Oh, you can't lay the same letter down on top of something. So he could, if he had a T, he couldn't just take that by playing another T. Now there is also a gray piece in here that everybody has. As soon as you are able to nab a word, you lay down a tile on top of something, you take a miscellaneous piece out of your bag and you add it to your gray tile, and every tile there is 1 point at the end of the game. And it empties your bag out faster, which triggers the end of the game, because when the bag is empty, now the game is over. It was an interesting crossword game. I did really enjoy it. I am really bad at it, but I really enjoyed it. I did like the fact that you could turn them just by grabbing a hold of one of the tiles
and they even
flipping
talk
it.
about how you can turn it around.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of
everybody
neat.
can see what they're doing.
So, interesting game. We are going to hold on to this one. I don't know, once we get to Upwards and get a chance to play it again, because we haven't played it in way too long. I don't know which one will end up staying, but for now, this will stick around. So, all right, but that is Nab-It, the family game of stolen words. And it will stick around for the moment. All right, next.
Next, we have an old Mayfair game. This is Nautilus.
Nautilus. This is an interesting game. There are a ton of teeny tiny pieces in this. The board is huge. This is one of those big trifold boards. But this is the basics of how the board looks. I'm not going to hold it up because it is pretty big. The idea being that, all right, so the premise with this one is you are building an underwater station to explore the depths of the ocean. Everybody builds onto the same station, starting right here in the center of the shallow area, and then progressively you keep building further out. This is one of those games that everybody starts with a certain amount of money and then you put away the rest. There is no more money ever added to the game. It just keeps changing hands. Or it ends up all in the pot and you have to figure out how to get it back out of the bank. Because, you know. So you're starting here in the center with different little nodules. And there's half a dozen of these.
Would it be nodules or modules?
Modules.
You said nodules.
I did say nodules. What was I thinking they were called? No, they are modules. I'm sorry. Okay, never mind. Modules. So there's half a dozen different modules in here that are laid out. Some are for sleeping purposes. This is where all of your guys populate to when you build them. Some are for various scientific research. And there's a sheet here that gives you all of those. So you've got your training modules and your engineering and sonar and laboratory and your analysis modules. So throughout the game, you are going around and you are searching. You're sending out your little submarines. You put one of your little workers, and your little workers, I'm telling you, man, they are teeny. This does not even, here's the workers in here. You can hardly see them. There's little teeny guys. But you're putting one of your little bitty workers into one of your little bitty subs, and you're going out into the depths. And you're traveling around. And all of these bright colored spots have different tokens on them that depict different seashells and pieces of Atlantis you're trying to find, or pieces of ruin. There might be treasure chests on some of them. So there's just different things all over the place. Nothing dangerous, but some of them are better than others. And in the end, it's a set collection. You're collecting different types of shells. You're collecting different types of the ruins to get points at the end of the game. But the further out you travel, the harder it gets. Because, of course, you've got out here is the deep area.
It costs more.
It costs more to do those trips.
Or build out.
Or to build out there, yes. It's an older game. I've always enjoyed this one.
This is one Mayfair game that doesn't look like some of the other, a lot of your typical Mayfair games, because it has plastic, if you want to call them minis, plastic people.
Yes, it has little plastic people and little plastic submarines. I mean, these guys
I mean, it does have your typical paper money, which we swapped out for our own coins.
for doubloons, yes.
But yeah, basically you're just trying to find Atlantis, to uncover all the ruins for Atlantis.
They are puny. But then they have to be to fit inside of here. So, yeah. I really enjoy this one. I always have. It doesn't come off the shelf often, but it's one of those games I feel like it doesn't take a long time to figure out again. I feel like we've played it enough when we first got it that it just takes a quick refresher and we got it. And we move on and start playing. So I really do enjoy this one. It is going to stay in our collection. This is one that I would never put in the other collection because of how tiny the pieces are. And the fact there's no way to replace them if one got lost. And I can see them getting lost. But it will stay in our collection, though.
This is a game you got to watch the other person because they will slide in and take the part that you've been building to try and get to.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes.
Nautilus by Mayfair Games. I think it's I don't know if I'd call it an underrated game, but I think it is a hidden gem.
Not quite a diamond in the rough, just
Not
a
quite,
gem.
just a gem. Yep. But anyway, Nautilus from Mayfair Games. All right.
So we go from a gem
Oh, Lordy.
to a piece of coal. This is the Naked Brothers Band game. With a box lid upside down.
Yeah, I was waiting to see how long that would take you. So, we
That's
played
enough
this.
said.
As he said, this one, and I get it's geared towards 7-year-olds.
Yes, I know.
It was one of those I bought because it was in our younger children area. Here's your board. Your board is essentially a series of stops around the U.S. for tour stops. And at first, when I first found it, I'd already heard of On Tour. We did not have On Tour yet. And I thought, ooh, that sounds kind of like On Tour. Not even close. So the idea with this one, and it might be better with more players, because in a 2-player game, all you have is first class tickets, or the front row tickets, I'm sorry. In multiplayer games, you have other ticket values. You have your general admission and you have your box seats. So the idea is you have 2 general admission, 1 box seat, 1 front row ticket on each of the 8 city locations.
In a full play game.
In a full game. In a 2-player game, you only have the front row seats. That's it. So then you take your city cards and you deal 8 cards out, 1 to each of the cities. And that tells you where the stops are. You have to start up in this city. Everybody picks their location before these are dealt out. So everybody starts someplace before these are dealt out. And then all the tickets from this first city, so say the first city was Vegas. All the tickets from Vegas, where is it? Right there, has to be picked up before you can pick up any tickets from Dallas. So maybe you're over here and you want to get to Dallas, but you can't pick up any tickets from Dallas until all of these tickets have been claimed. And you can't claim more than 1 ticket on a turn. You have to leave and come back if you're going to claim a second ticket. So you're kind of hedging your bets on where you're going to go. Movement is done with the draw of a card. So you draw 1 card. Whoever's turn it is moving with the white bus. And you're moving from Seattle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. So you're moving the number of spaces here. Oh, that was a 6, not an 8. But then the pink person gets to move, and then the green person gets to move. And then, but if you are green, then you get to move twice. Okay, so the next card, fast track, card holder moves to any city. Oh, that's nice. And move 8. Only the person whose turn it is gets to move 8. Nobody else gets to move this turn. So you're moving around with the draw of a card, but it's also moving other people. So not horrible, but at the same time, not the kind of game we really want to hold on to either. I think the IP is short-lived.
Yes.
This
was, show's not on anymore,
yeah, the show's not on anymore, and it hasn't been on in a very long time. So I think, as a matter of fact, this game came out, this was put out in 2008, and this show was only on for 3 seasons, I think is what I saw. I may be confusing that with other information. I'm not sure. But regardless, the show's been off the air for over a decade. So we are going to let this one go. I think I like the card movement, but at the same time, it's not enough to make me hold on to it because of the IP. So we are going to let this one go. But yeah, that is the Naked Brothers Band VIP concert tour game. All right.
Okay, so now we're down to the Nationals.
Okay.
We're going to start off with National Parks Yahtzee.
We picked this one up at a park on our Western Swing in 2016. We've played it a few times. This one plays exactly like Yahtzee, exactly like you would expect it to, only it does have the numbers on there to make it easier, but instead there's all these different icons from the parks. You know, moose and tents and trees and hats and rivers, and so you're playing it just like you would Yahtzee. You score exactly like you would Yahtzee. 13 rounds, and then everybody scores up. If you can't fill in a number, you have to fill in a 0 to make your 13th number. So yeah,
the scorecards are very small, but
they are.
The cool thing though I thought was that they come off and they're folded in half, so you open them up though. But still, we had to make old people scorecards for this, so we have some enlarged.
Yeah, and I had forgotten all
cards.
about it, and thank goodness I put this note inside the packet telling me my large laminated copies were in the drawer.
For us old people. But yeah, this is still available in every single national park in the United States.
I think we saw it just this last weekend, didn't
Yes, we did.
So yeah, I love this version. It's so easy and so small, and it's just fun. So we're going to hold on to this one. It sits up on one of our small game shelves, just kind of out of the way. It's a novelty thing, but I've always liked it. So that is Yahtzee National Parks Travel Edition. All right.
Next is National Parks and Monuments board game. We got this again at another national park. I haven't seen this one though.
No, I haven't seen this one in a park in a while. This one I thought was interesting. I know you didn't care for it. I liked it, but whatever. So, I mean, the rules were simple. That was pretty much it. And that's the area of the country it talks about, I guess. The Colorado Plateau Challenge. Yeah,
that's
that makes
why it
sense.
says Colorado Plateau Challenge. That's why everything was based right there.
There was. All right, so here's your board. Your board is made up of 4 different colors with different sites in different sections of the board. And all of these, of course, are different sites, different animals, different plants that you are apt to see in those sections of the country.
National parks.
Yep. So as the game goes on, everybody starts out with a number of cards, depending on the player count.
Yeah, depending on the player count. But with the 2-player game, it was 3 of each, I believe.
So yeah, it was 3 of each color and then 3 of each in the visitor center. And I imagine with 4 players, you're each going to start with 2 of each. So everybody starts off with 3 of each color.
Yes.
And the goal is that starting here, you have to get into that section and cross over or land on that card in order to claim it and put it in your victory point pile. Each of these cards is worth 10 points when the game is over. What I like about this is that on the back, they tell you all about the card you're picking up.
Yeah.
So
that gives you like the trekking series cards.
Yes. So like this one, Bryce Canyon. If I were to cross over or land on Bryce Canyon, I can pick it up. If I choose to, I can read the back. I can see this being a fantastic homeschool tool.
Now, like you said, if it's in your stack, all you have to do is pass over. If it's in somebody else's stack, you can take it by landing exactly on it. And then you have to roll a challenge roll to see if you get it or not.
Now, what I didn't like is the fact, and this is my one complaint with this game, is the fact they only give you 1 dice.
Yes.
And to roll a challenge, you have to roll that 1 dice 3 times, add them up, and then hand it to your challenger. And roll that dice 3 times, and then add it. Why didn't they just include some more dice?
It's the national parks, and they want to put a game out, and they want to keep costs down.
So we just pulled some dice out of a bin. Not like there's any shortage of them around here. So we pulled some dice out of the bin and just used those, made it a little faster.
Yeah.
But
there's also the visitor center that does the same thing as the other ones.
So the visitor center is essentially an extra player.
That's where all the extra cards go.
Yes. So you put the extra cards there, and as you cross over those items, you can again challenge the visitor center to take those, and then somebody else just rolls for the visitor center. So I thought that was interesting in itself. Once you became a ranger, once you were able to complete all of your cards, now you could just cross over something in order to challenge. You didn't have to land specifically on it with exact count. Along the way, there were trivia questions, and the trivia questions were all based on this region of the country. So in 3 different types of questions, blue, red, and green. And then if you drew that, somebody else drew the question, or if you landed there, somebody else drew the question, read you the question. If you got it right, you kept the card. Each card was worth 5 points at the end of the game. But some of the questions were, I mean, like this one here on the back. The region south of the Grand Canyon has the largest continuous blank forest in North America. The cottonwood tree, the ponderosa pine, or the oak tree?
The ponderosa pine.
Yeah.
It's on the board.
Oh, well, that's true. Which mountains can be seen from Arches National Park? The Sierra Nevadas, the Appalachians, well, that's not right, or La Salle. I've never heard of La Salle, but that's the right answer. Must be one of the smaller ranges out in that part of the country. But anyway, I thought the trivia was really interesting. I like trivia games where they don't become dated. The answers never change.
Yes.
They are what they are. That being said, I think this game would make a fantastic
educational family fun.
a fantastic educational tool for an American history class or
Geography.
geography
Do they
class.
still teach geography?
I have no clue. But I think this would be a great homeschool tool or something like that. So we're going to let it go, and I'm going to put it out there and see if I can find. I've got a lot of former choir kids who are school teachers now.
Yeah. When you
see if one
mentioned
of
the
them
thing you
wanted
didn't
it.
like about the game, it wasn't exactly what I thought you were saying.
No, the one thing I did not like, yes, it's my one complaint about most games. And this guy had the same mechanism.
Yes, I know.
Exact count to end the game.
Yeah.
You have to land on the end space by exact count.
And you don't win it.
Yeah,
It
it
doesn't
still
mean you
comes
won
down to
it.
points.
It still comes down to points. So.
That literally, that exact count ending, literally,
I think-
all it did was it was a tiebreaker in case points were tied.
Well, it was
That
tiebreaker, but it also allowed other people to. It was a catch-up mechanism.
Maybe. Oh, that's true.
Let people catch up to you.
That's true. We were both literally sitting there trying to roll a 1 for.
But you can't go to it unless you play the variant. You can't go to it until all the cards are picked up anyway.
Yes.
Or there is a variant, a faster variant, where
As soon as you have
as soon as you got
yours.
all yours done, you could go there
Right,
to fit in the
right.
game. So
I just have never cared for that mechanism, especially in party games. Oh, I hate it in party games where you have to land on the end by exact count because now you may have played a really good game and you lose because you can't roll a 5. So, anyway, we are going to go ahead and let this one go because I really would like to pass this on to a teacher or somebody who homeschools, and hopefully it will see a lot more use than it has here. But yeah, that is National Parks and Monuments board game, the Colorado Plateau Challenge. All right.
and the last one is National Geographic Global Pursuit.
This one was interesting.
This one
I
was.
fully expected this one was going to be a play and hit the road type of game. Oh, we're missing a rubber band. All right, so the way this one plays, I mean, victory points or chips. It's a very old game. In fact, we had this sitting up on the counter because we had just played it the night before our birthday parties. And one of our friends, Ben, was sitting here at this table and thought, is that what I think it is? And he goes, do you guys still need to play that? And I said, no, we played it last night. He goes, I swear my parents owned that game for 30 years. They probably still do. So, and he had never played it. All right, so this one is essentially another trivia game, but it's all about the Earth. There are 4 different sets of maps. Each set of maps is stylized a little bit different. Like this one is all about historic happenings. So you're going to see, ship routes with different dates on them. This one's about people and places. You're going to see all the different, like agriculture and different stuff around the different continents. Well, that's not people and places. I'm sorry. This was people and products, hence the agriculture. This one is people and places. And of course, the only thing I have up is one of the oceans. That's not helpful. So this one has just the basic information on the different continents and countries. And then there is planet Earth, and this shows the topography of the Earth. So they're all just stylized slightly different. well, drastically different actually. So the idea is you start off with, in the basic game, there's 2 ways to do it. You can start off with one of each map out and you're building 4 different maps, or you can just start off with one random piece out and all 47 other pieces in a stack, minus everybody's starting hand of 5. And then you just
build off of that.
And that's where you end up with something like this. And I'll show a picture of our ending board. it was really quite magnificent.
Like
it was
2 different
huge.
Africas, 3 different South Americas.
Oh, easily. So you have the potential of ending up with 4 of each continent out on your map. But the crust of the game, though, is that as you play a card, you're picking a trivia card from that region or from that map set. So like this one here states, let's see, well, okay, so this one here states, oh no, this is the question side. You might come face to face with an alligator in what national park in Florida?
Everglades.
Everglades National Park, the largest subtropical wilderness in the U.S. I believe it. What ancient name for the city of London, England was Londinium? Oh, no, I'm sorry. The ancient name for the city of London, England was Londinium. Which group of people gave the city its name? The Vikings, the Celts, or the Romans?
The Romans.
Yeah, you would know that, of course. Oh, this one I should know. What is the name of the body of water that separates Alaska from Siberia?
Bering Sea.
The Bering Strait.
Did I say sea?
You did say sea. It's the Bering Strait. I grew up in Alaska, so I should know that. Anyhow, I thought the trivia questions on this were really good. I really actually enjoyed this more than I thought.
And if you got the trivia question right, you got to lay another tile.
Yes.
You got to lay tiles as long as you kept answering trivia questions.
Yes.
You kept laying tiles.
Yes. You just kept on going.
But you don't
until
refill.
You were out.
You don't refill the tiles in your hand until you answer the question wrong.
Correct. Or you're out of tiles.
And then you pull back up to 5
So the
tiles,
maximum you can do is 5 at a time.
Yes.
So, because then you were out. And then as you're going, you're getting various points, and these are basically your point chips. So.
1s, 2s, and 5s.
Yeah,
or 1s,
something
5s,
like
and
that.
10s or
I
something
think
like
so.
that.
We actually really enjoyed this game, much, much more than we anticipated. So we're going to hold on to this one. I thought this was a very unique take on a trivia game, and it's all about the Earth. So
And maybe Ben will be able to play it one day.
there you go. All right, so that is that. And that's actually it. That is it for this episode. So again, I hope you like the shorter format. Please let us know in the comments if you prefer the shorter format or the longer format. But we're going to try and get these out just a little more often and see what happens. So, but until then,
We'll see you at the next one.